Hi, Larry. How are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, look, firstly, welcome. Greetings from Australia. And obviously, I just wanted to thank you for your time. I know how busy you must be promoting your brand new film, which I'm very excited to talk more about today. I've got to ask this question straight up. I've looked into your career in film, and it's highly impressive. My jaw dropped, and I have nerves just interviewing you today based on your film career. We're talking about the fact that you are an actor that has done well over 100 films. You are a producer, you are a director, you've directed well over 25 films and more coming. You're also an editor, cinematographer. I can go on all day. You know, where did this passion come when it comes to films and acting and directing? Where did this great career get birthed?
Well, the reason I have so many credits is I really love all the aspects of filmmaking, including I wanted to be an actor when I was young, but there were too many other things that excited me, the production design and the props. And so I just like to get my hands in there. As a result, I tend to work in the independent world because there you have a little more leeway to get involved in different things. So that's, all those credits. It's all those acting credits. A lot of those movies, I show up for literally a minute and a half, and then I get killed off by an axe murderer or something. So let's not
Absolutely.
overplay my prowess as a showbiz character. But I certainly try to support young filmmakers, and then I have my very special bunch of films that I've directed that are very near and dear to me. Sort of a philosophical horror movies is what I tend to make.
Which is fantastic. Now, here in Australia too, Larry, I will share with you, we have got a recent release of one of your films, which is now on DVD, called Depraved, which has been released by an Australian distributor, Walkden Entertainment. So if you haven't seen that film and you're listening, that's another film of Larry's that he's actually directed that is most certainly worth checking out. So that's one of the most recent releases we've had within Australia. But, looking at your career and looking at some of these films, I see a lot of horror, horror, horror. I say this with a cheeky grin and a smile, Larry. What is it with you and horror? Where did this desire and career, lead you into horror? Where did that start?
Well, I always say I'm wired for horror. Just as a kid, I always thought the world was a terrifying place, and I wanted to basically make other people feel uncomfortable as I did. But I think, I came from a comfortable background, and I just was aware, as a sensitive person, you're just aware of the potential for collapse. And the irony or the sadness of life is that I think the way things are going in the world with climate change and so on, there is actually an encroaching feeling of dread. And that's something I've just always felt intuitively, and I wanted to express it in movies. So even when I sit down to write a comedy, it ends up becoming horror. Such is life for me.
I love it. That's really good insight, because I looked at the career that you've got and I was just so curious as to, how you went on that path. But speaking of films and exciting career that you've got, I'm very honored to talk about your latest film, Jacob's Wife, where in fact you do play Jacob in this film. For those that are listening, this is actually a Shutter Australia exclusive. So there is no cinematic release. There is no disc or Blu-ray. In Australia, it's going straight to Shutter. I've been very honored to see this film in advance, and a massive congratulations to you. This is a very exciting film, already to a very exciting career. But, without revealing any sort of major spoilers, what's a brief summary that you'd like to reveal to those listening that haven't seen this film yet? What is this film about? Do tell.
Well, I'm a preacher in a small town in America, and I have my flock. I have the people that I speak to, and I'm quite smug and content with myself. And I have a very beautiful wife, Barbara Crampton, who is, of course, an icon in American
Mm.
horror films and genre movies. And she plays a very mousy wife, obedient. And then something happens in the story such that she gains this sense of herself. So it's both a parable about a woman coming into her own and realizing that she suffered under the weight of her husband's condescension. And then, it's a relationship story. It's me having to deal with her. And so it was a very fun role to play. First, very pious, pompous, and then slowly my comeuppance. So It's a good
Very
time.
nice. And to let you know as well, you're probably aware of this, but I looked at the stats on good old Rotten Tomatoes, and this film is 100% certified fresh. Well, not 100% rating, but 85%. But it is without a doubt certified fresh. And the good people of Australia haven't even had a chance to check this film out. So there is some great positive reviews and feedback, obviously regarding performances and the effects and just everything about this film. There's some great things happening with it. So I can't wait to talk more about this film with people in Australia. But, you know, this is a role where you're playing a preacher. You know, what attracted you to play this role? It's obviously a little bit different, perhaps, to some of your previous roles. Was there something that attracted you to this film and to this character?
Well, very often you join a film because you know the people involved and you have a trust and you know you're going to build a community and you're going to do some, art building together. And I certainly love Barbara Crampton. We'd worked together in the past. And then personally, this was a different role. I usually play, I don't even have a tooth. I don't know if you're
I do notice that, yeah.
I can't remember if this is radio or what this will be, but in any case, I usually play the homeless guy or the mean villain or the criminal and the home, So it was fun to clean up,
Yeah.
comb the hair, and play another role. Which in my community, I have influence and I advise filmmakers, so I have that kind of stature, mentoring figure, but I rarely play it. So I was delighted to get a slightly different kind of a role to play.
Yeah.
Still in a genre film, so we had a lot of fun.
That's great. And it's good to keep it fresh and different. Otherwise, you'll get too bored. And it was definitely a different role to anything I've ever seen you do, Larry. It was definitely a credit to you. But, where do you research a character like this? Were you, at home researching preaching sermons? Did you pick up the old book of the Bible and do a bit of research there as well? Like, is there any sort of preparation you had for this character or not so much? Or what was there?
Absolutely. I mean, every role you play, first of all, you go from the script and then you find an empathetic way in. And so, of course, I'm married. Well, not of course, but I am married. So I had that to draw on. But as far as being a preacher, as I said, I run an independent film company and I have a lot of people who ask my advice. So I have that sort of preacherly way, teacherly way. And then I did read the good book. And it's bananas.
Yeah.
it's
a good time.
Kinds of talk about a horror script. There's a lot going on there, and it was fun to imagine like how you could be a pious man, and then so there are many ways into a character. I had a great deal of fun and very respectful. I think the important thing about acting is to respect the character and don't play, don't condescend.
Absolutely. Now, this film, obviously, you just hit the nail on the head. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of wild moments that occur in this film. And, Jacob as a character is put in several unusual and awkward situations with his wife. Did you have a bit of flexibility as an actor on the set? Were you allowed to play with the script? Did did certain moments drive you in a different direction? The director ended up keeping it. Like, did you have any flexibility on set when you made this film? Or was it just stick to the script?
It's always a nice question when someone says, were you guys improvising? Because it implies there was a spontaneity and a freshness to what was going on. But the truth is, no, those are the words on the page, and then you bring some life to it. I mean, I think at times I took the character more seriously than maybe was possible. I could have been a little more snarky or had a sarcasm, but I played it very straight. So there's a point at which I'm really very upset with my wife, and I wanted to show that he had this humanity. I think the important thing was not to play Jacob as a villain and just sort of, be damned with the patriarch. I wanted to give him humanity and realize that a marriage is a two-way street, and even the misery in a marriage is both parties not communicating. So
yeah, it's a great concept when you've got a husband and wife who, in theory, in this film, go on different journeys, but still have this beautiful connection. I mean, that was my take on the film. And I thought, both you and Barbara pulled that off so well. And my next question obviously does relate with Barbara, who is just, wow, in this film, like yourself. What was it like working with her? And I did have a sub question, which you slightly touched on. Was this your first film with her? I had a sneaking suspicion you've worked with her before. What was it like working with her in this film or again? Give me a bit of an insight on that. It'd be lovely.
Well, Barbara's just she's a real trooper, and also she's a producer on this film. So she was very much hands-on, and we lived in the same house together during the production. So we would talk about not only our characters and our marriages, but also, you know, how to get an indie film made and to be efficient and to make the right choices, everything from casting to. So that was fun. I was in a movie called You're Next with Barbara. I didn't interact with her there, but then I was also in a movie called We Are Still Here. And
Yes.
in that one, we acted together, and just always had a fondness for her. But for your audience, I hope you'll become aware of Tales from Beyond the Pale. That is our podcast, and Barbara is in many of those, and that's my project with my comrade Glenn McQuaid, and their audio dramas, half-hour scary audio dramas. Barbara Crampton's in several of them, so is Ron Perlman, so is Doug Jones, so is Vincent D'Onofrio. Lots of fun characters. So that's a little treat. I hope you guys can find that down under.
Absolutely. We'll definitely find a way to watch that on Down Under. It usually Shutter streaming service is the way to go. But also physical media, you'll be happy to know amongst that collection, you know, I've got a few of your titles, same with Barbara, but also You're Next is a hidden gem for me. That's one of those films that when you have a dinner table conversation, what, you haven't seen You're Next? Just take my Blu-ray and watch it and let me know when you're done with it. It's a great film to promote and celebrate. You know, and as I mentioned, this film is pretty wild and wacky. Were there any major challenges that occurred while making this film? Was there anything that really sort of had struggles? Were there any issues at all?
Well, you're working with no budget. There were little
Yes.
things. Like it was very, very cold because it was actually February. It was in the South in America, but it was still very cold. And then
Yeah.
there was noise issues. I mean, these are just the standard things. Sometimes you run out of time, and sometimes the effects don't work, and you have
Yes.
to. So nothing out of the ordinary. And the thing is that Travis Stevens, the director, is just such a big-hearted guy, just willing to get in there, always fighting for the movie. And so we all just had fun. So I can't speak about hardships. It was too much of a good time.
No, it's good. And look, I got to say too, when you say things like, you know, you're having a good time on set, I really feel that shows in this film. I can just see there's some fun, you know, a bit of randomness going on, and it's evident on screen along with the film's plot and heart and everything else that goes with it. So look, that definitely shows. And I have to ask this question. This is probably more for me. I'm a bit greedy here. We know you're a horror fan. We know you've grown up with horror and you've got a passion and desires for it. I need to ask, what is your number one favorite horror film of all time that you're number one? What is it?
Well, the answer is not really that interesting to the younger viewers, but I remind them of the importance of the old films. And this isn't
Yes.
even that old. Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
My favorite for so many reasons. It was scrappy, it was independently made, it was seminal, it started an entire genre of film. I love the social commentary. There's a bleakness to it, and it was still black and white. So when I saw it, I thought it was going to be like Frankenstein and Dracula, the old movies, and then it was much different. It was sort of was my coming of age. So it's an important film to me. Of course, there's gazillions of great movies, but that's the one I always answer.
that is the film, and that's a great film. And look, I might have a baby face on me, but I definitely resonate with that film as well. And again, amongst the collection, but no, you, sir, have good taste, and I'm not surprised by that answer. So look, as I've said at the start of this quick little interview, I really do appreciate your time. I know how busy you've been, so I've kept the questions nice and tight and short, but I do have one last opportunity and one last moment for you, Larry, where, you know, the people of Australia are listening to this interview right now. And I wanted to give you this last chance to tell the people of Australia, why should they see Jakob's Wife? Why should they go to Shutter and subscribe and check this film out and support it? This is your last chance to give out a bit of a plug or a reasoning. The floor is yours. Why should they see Jakob's Wife?
Because there's a genre of film which I've been doing my whole career, which is very personal and really tells you a story that you connect to. And this is like a Cassavetes film on the one hand. On the other hand, it tells the story of humans getting along or not getting along, but through the lens of horror. And what could be more fun? If you're going to talk about, for example, a marriage, let's throw a little gore in there. Let's throw a little blood in there, some fangs and some mayhem. So that's how I like to watch movies that do touch you emotionally, but actually they're just a blast. So that's my reason.
I absolutely adore and love that reason. Larry, you have been a true gentleman. Again, I'm just so thankful for your time today And mate, I look forward to telling others about this film because it is definitely worth a watch. So as mentioned, Jacob's Wife, which is a 2021 release, will be available on Shudder Australia from this month on the 19th. Definitely worthwhile to check it out. It's guaranteed to deliver a great time. Once again, Larry, thank you so much. And I wish you all the very best success and future with this film and other great exciting projects you're looking at.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you,
Ciao.
Larry. Cheers.